Jake Martinez was having one of those days. The coffee maker in the ship's kitchen had broken again. The air filter in Section C was making weird noises. And now Captain Lisa Wong wanted him to fix the gravity generator before they reached Kepler Station. Jake grabbed his toolkit with one hand and his half-empty coffee cup with the other. He needed to hurry. The cargo ship Starbound was not fancy. It was old, noisy, and always needed something fixed. But Jake liked working on it. He had been the ship's fix-it guy for 3 years now. The crew was good people and the pay was decent. Plus he got to see different planets and space stations. Not bad for a guy from Ohio who used to fix air conditioners. Jake walked fast through the ship's lower hallways. These passages were narrow and poorly lit. Most people avoided them, but Jake knew every shortcut on the Starbound. He could get anywhere on the ship in half the time if he used these routes. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. The toolkit bounced against his leg with each step. Coffee sloshed in his cup, but he managed not to spill any. Jake turned a corner quickly, already thinking about which tools he would need for the gravity generator. That was when it happened. Jake crashed into something solid and went flying. His toolkit scattered across the floor with a loud crash. Tools rolled everywhere. His coffee cup flew through the air and splashed coffee on the walls. Jake hit the ground hard and slid a few feet before stopping. "Ow," Jake said, rubbing his head. He looked around at the mess. Screwdrivers, wrenches, and wire cutters were spread all over the hallway. A small hammer had rolled under a pipe. Great, just great. Then he noticed he was not alone. A tall figure was getting up from the floor nearby. Jake had thought he ran into another crew member. But this person was different, very different. She was about 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin that had small scales. Her hair was white and tied back in a tight braid. She wore a dark uniform with strange symbols on it. Her eyes were bright yellow and currently staring at Jake with what looked like anger. "Oh no," Jake said, scrambling to his feet. "I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I did not see you there. I was going too fast." "I do that sometimes," the tall woman said nothing. She brushed dust off her uniform with sharp, quick movements. Her face showed no emotion, but Jake could tell she was not happy. "Here, let me help," Jake said. He started picking up some items that had fallen from a bag she was carrying. Strange tools and devices were scattered on the floor. Jake had never seen anything like them before. The woman made a low sound in her throat. It sounded dangerous. I know, Jake said, still gathering her things. "I am really clumsy sometimes. My mom always said I could trip over my own shadow. Are any of these broken? If they are, I can probably fix them. I fix things for a living." Jake held out her belongings. The woman stared at him like he had grown a second head. "You are human," she said. Her voice was deep and had an accent Jake did not recognize. "Guilty as charged," Jake said with a grin. Jake Martinez, professional breaker of things and occasional fixer of them too. "And you are?" The woman did not answer right away. She was still staring at him. Jake noticed other aliens in the hallway had stopped what they were doing to watch them. A group of short green creatures whispered to each other. A tall, thin being with 4 arms had frozen in place. "I am Zara of the Vexani," the woman said slowly. "Nice to meet you, Zara," Jake said. He was still holding her things. "Listen, I feel really bad about running into you like that. Can I buy you a coffee or something? I mean, I just spilled mine everywhere, but the station probably has some place that sells drinks." Zara blinked her yellow eyes several times. "You wish to purchase me a beverage?" "Sure, why not?" Jake said. "It is the least I can do after knocking you down. Unless you do not drink coffee. I do not know what Vexani people like to drink. Do you guys even drink coffee? Maybe they have something else you like." The other aliens in the hallway were making strange sounds. Some seemed shocked. Others looked scared. Jake did not understand why. He was just trying to be polite. "No one has ever—" Zara started to say, then stopped. She looked confused. "Hey, no problem if you are busy," Jake said. "I get it. I need to get back to work anyway. The gravity generator is acting up, and if I do not fix it soon, we might all be floating around like balloons." Jake started picking up his own tools. A screwdriver had rolled pretty far away. He crawled under a pipe to get it. "You are not afraid," Zara said. Jake looked up from under the pipe. "Afraid of what? You seem nice enough. A little serious maybe, but that is okay. Some people are just like that." "I am Vexani," she said. Like that should mean something important. "Okay," Jake said. He crawled out from under the pipe with his screwdriver. "I am human. Nice to meet you, neighbor." Zara made that throat sound again, but quieter this time. Jake finished gathering his tools and stood up. Well, it was really nice meeting you, Zara. Sorry again about the whole crashing into you thing. I promise I will watch where I am going next time. He started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and if you change your mind about that coffee, I will be around the station for a few hours. The Starbound is docked at Bay 7 if you want to find me. Jake waved and headed down the hallway, already thinking about the gravity generator again. Behind him, Zara stood perfectly still, watching him leave. The other aliens were still whispering and pointing. What Jake did not know was that Vexani were considered some of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. They were proud, fierce, and followed strict rules about honor and respect. Most beings were terrified of them. What Zara did not know was that Jake Martinez from Ohio had never met an alien he did not like. To him, people were just people, no matter what they looked like or where they came from. And that simple difference was about to change both their lives forever. Zara stood in the hallway for a long time after Jake left. Other aliens walked around her, giving her plenty of space. Everyone knew what Vexani could do when they got angry. But Zara was not angry anymore. She was confused. In all her years as a warrior, no one had ever treated her like that human had. When most beings saw a Vexani, they either ran away or tried to fight. They never offered to buy coffee. They never made jokes about floating like balloons. They definitely never crawled under pipes to pick up screwdrivers while talking like nothing strange had happened. What kind of creature is this human? Zara asked herself. She had heard stories about humans, of course. They were new to space travel. Most aliens thought they were weak and foolish, but the human who had crashed into her did not seem weak. Clumsy, yes, but not weak. Zara made a decision. She would learn more about this Jake Martinez. For research purposes, she told herself. It was important to understand potential threats to the Vexani Empire. She followed the signs to docking Bay 7. The Starbound was easy to spot. It was old and had scorch marks on its hull. Humans seemed to like fixing things instead of buying new ones. Zara found this interesting. Most advanced species just threw away broken items. At the ship's entrance, a human woman was checking cargo manifests on a tablet. She had black hair and wore a blue uniform with captain's stripes. "Excuse me," Zara said. The woman looked up and smiled. She did not seem afraid at all. "Hello there. Can I help you with something?" "I am looking for Jake Martinez," Zara said. "Oh, Jake is probably in the engine room. Are you here about repairs? Jake is the best fix-it guy in this sector." The woman stuck out her hand. "I am Captain Lisa Wong, by the way." Zara stared at the offered hand. She had read about human handshaking in cultural files. It was supposed to be a greeting ritual. Carefully, she reached out and shook Lisa's hand. "I am Zara of the Vexani," she said. "Wow, a Vexani," Lisa said, still smiling. "We do not see many of your people around here. Would you like to come aboard? I can show you to Jake," Zara nodded. This was very strange. The human captain was inviting a Vexani warrior onto her ship like it was nothing special. Lisa led her through the ship's corridors. They passed other crew members who waved and said hello. A young man with red hair offered Zara a sandwich. An older woman asked if she needed directions to anywhere. "Your crew is very friendly," Zara said. "Oh yeah, we are like a big family here," Lisa said. "Life in space is hard enough without being mean to each other. Plus, Jake always says you never know when you might need help from a stranger." They found Jake in the engine room, lying on his back under a large machine. His legs stuck out and Zara could hear him humming a tune. Tools were scattered around him, but in an organized way this time. "Jake," Lisa called. "You have a visitor." Jake slid out from under the machine. His face was dirty with grease, but he was grinning. When he saw Zara, his grin got bigger. "Hey, Zara, you decided to take me up on that coffee after all?" Zara started, then stopped. She had not actually thought about what to say. "Actually, I was just about to take a break," Jake said, standing up and wiping his hands on a rag. "The gravity generator is being stubborn, but I think I almost have it figured out." "Want to see the ship?" Before Zara could answer, Jake was already walking toward the door. "Come on, I will give you the grand tour. It is not much, but it is home." Jake showed her the bridge where Navigation Officer Rick Johnson was plotting their next course. He showed her the galley where Cook Amy Foster was making soup that smelled amazing. He showed her the cargo hold, where Engineer Ben Torres was checking pressure seals. Everyone treated Zara like a welcome guest. They offered her food, asked about her travels, and shared stories about their own adventures. No one seemed to care that she was a dangerous alien warrior. "Your crew is not afraid of me," Zara observed as Jake showed her the ship's small library. "Why would they be afraid?" Jake asked, pulling a book off the shelf. "You seem pretty nice to me. A little formal maybe, but nothing wrong with that." "I am Vexani," Zara said again. "So you keep saying," Jake replied, flipping through the book. "Is that supposed to mean something special? Like, are you royalty or something?" Zara stared at him. "We are warriors. We are trained from birth to fight. Most species fear us." Jake looked up from his book. That sounds like a rough way to grow up. No wonder you are so serious all the time. Did you ever get to just be a kid? You know, play games and have fun?" "Play games?" Zara repeated. "Yeah, like tag or hide and seek. Or board games, cards, stuff like that." Jake put the book back and pulled out a deck of cards from his pocket. "I always carry these around. Want to learn poker?" Zara found herself sitting at a small table in the library, while Jake shuffled cards and explained the rules of poker. He taught her about pairs and straights and flushes. He showed her how to bluff and when to fold. "The key is reading people," Jake said, dealing another hand. "You watch their faces, how they hold their cards, stuff like that. Humans are not great at hiding their feelings." Zara was good at reading people. It was part of her warrior training. But these humans were different. They seemed to say exactly what they meant. There was no hidden agenda, no secret plans. It was confusing but also refreshing. "Jake," she said after winning her third hand, "why are you being kind to me?" Jake looked puzzled. "Why would I not be kind to you? You have not given me any reason to be mean. But I am a stranger, an alien, a warrior. So? My grandmother always said you should treat people the way you want to be treated. Besides, being a warrior is not a bad thing. Someone has to protect people, right?" Zara felt something strange in her chest. It took her a moment to realize what it was. No one had ever called her job protecting people before. Most beings saw Vexani warriors as threats or weapons. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "All hands to stations," came Lisa's voice over the intercom. "We have incoming hostiles." "Looks like Krillian pirates." Jake jumped up from the table. "Pirates? Well, that is not good." Zara stood as well, her warrior instincts taking over. "How many ships?" "Let me check," Jake said, leading her toward the bridge. On the bridge, the crew was busy at their stations. The main screen showed 3 sleek black ships approaching the station. "They are demanding tribute from all docked vessels," Rick reported. "Standard pirate shakedown." "Like heck," Lisa said. "Ben, can you give me more power to the shields?" "I am trying, Captain, but the generator is still acting up," Ben called back. Jake scratched his head. "You know what? I have an idea. It is kinda crazy, but it might work." Zara watched as Jake grabbed his toolkit and some spare wire from a supply closet. He did not look scared or worried. He looked like someone who had just been given an interesting puzzle to solve. "What are you doing?"
Zara asked. "Well," Jake said, already taking apart a panel, "those pirates probably expect us to either run or fight, right?"
"But what if we do something completely different?" "Such as?" Jake grinned. "Trust me, you will see." Zara realized she was about to witness something no Vexani had ever seen before. A human being unpredictable in a crisis, and for some reason she could not explain. She was looking forward to it. Jake worked fast with his hands while the pirate ships got closer. He pulled wires from one panel and connected them to another. He used his toolkit to modify something that looked like a communication device. "Jake, what are you doing?" "Captain," Lisa asked, trying to watch both him and the approaching pirates. "Well," Jake said, not looking up from his work, "I figure these pirates are used to people being scared, right? So what if we confuse them instead?" Zara watched Jake work. His movements were quick but careful. He seemed to know exactly what he was doing, even though his plan sounded crazy. "Done," Jake announced. He had rigged together several devices with spare wire and some parts from his toolkit. "Okay, Lisa. When they contact us, let me talk to them." "Jake, I do not think that is a good idea," Lisa said. "Trust me," Jake replied with a grin. The pirates contacted them a few minutes later. Their leader appeared on the main screen. He was a Krillian with gray skin and sharp teeth. Behind him, Zara could see more pirates preparing weapons. "Attention cargo vessel," the pirate leader said in a threatening voice. Prepare to be boarded, surrender your cargo, and no one gets hurt. Oh, hi there, Jake said cheerfully, stepping in front of the screen. Are you guys here for the inspection too? The pirate leader looked confused. Inspection? What inspection? The health and safety inspection, Jake said, acting surprised. We got a message that there were inspectors coming to check all the ships for space plague. You know, the new regulations after that outbreak in the beta sector. Zara watched the pirates exchange worried looks. There had been no space plague outbreak, but the pirates did not know that. We are not inspectors, the leader said slowly. Oh, Jake said, looking disappointed. Well, that is too bad. We have been waiting all day. The captain was really hoping to get our certification updated. He paused. Hey, you guys have not seen any symptoms, have you? Skin discoloration, unusual growths, that sort of thing? Symptoms? One of the other pirates asked nervously. Yeah, the plague spreads really fast in enclosed spaces like spaceships, Jake continued. That is why they are doing all these inspections. Better safe than sorry, right? Jake pressed a button on his improvised device. Suddenly, strange beeping sounds filled the bridge. He had rigged it to make random noises. Oh no, Jake said, looking at his device with fake concern. Are you guys picking up these readings too? These radiation levels are really high. The pirate leader looked at his own instruments. Our sensors show normal readings. That is weird, Jake said. Our equipment must be more sensitive. Hey, when was the last time you guys had your ship decontaminated? Because if you have been exposed to infected areas. By now, the pirates were looking very uncomfortable. They whispered among themselves while Jake continued to make up scary-sounding medical facts. Look, the pirate leader finally said. We will just go check some other ships. Good idea, Jake agreed. You should probably avoid any ships that have been to the outer rim lately. That is where most of the outbreaks started. The pirates cut the communication and flew away quickly. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Rick started laughing. Space plague? Jake, where did you come up with that? My sister is a nurse, Jake said, unplugging his fake device. She always told me that people are more afraid of getting sick than almost anything else. Figured it might work on pirates too. Captain Lisa shook her head, but she was smiling. Jake, that was completely crazy, and it worked perfectly. Zara stared at Jake in amazement. She had seen many warriors defeat enemies through strength and skill. But she had never seen anyone defeat enemies by making them afraid of imaginary diseases. How did you know they would believe you? She asked. I did not, Jake admitted. But it was worth a try. Sometimes the best defense is just being really weird. Zara thought about this. In Vexani culture, warriors followed specific strategies and tactics. There were rules for how to fight and win. But Jake had ignored all rules and created his own solution. It was brilliant. Jake Martinez, she said formally. I declare myself your honor-bound protector. Everyone on the bridge turned to stare at her. Jake looked especially confused. My what now? He asked. It is a sacred duty among my people, Zara explained. When someone shows great wisdom or courage, a warrior may pledge to protect them. I pledge my life to your safety. That is really nice of you, Jake said, but I do not need a bodyguard. I am just a fix-it guy. You are more than that, Zara said seriously. What you did today was the work of a great tactical mind. Jake scratched his head. I just made up some stuff about space plague. Anyone could have done that. No, Zara said firmly. Anyone could have tried to fight the pirates. Only you thought to make them afraid of something that did not exist. It was unexpected. Brilliant. Before Jake could argue more, Captain Lisa's communication panel beeped. She answered it and frowned. We have another problem, she announced. That was station security. There is a Galactic Council investigator on the way. Someone reported unusual activity involving humans and Vexani. What kind of investigator? Zara asked. Commander Kane. He is coming to assess whether humans are a threat to galactic peace. Jake looked around the bridge. A threat? Us? We just avoided a fight with pirates. How is that threatening? Because, Zara said slowly, you did it in a way no one expected. The galaxy does not like surprises. Over the next few hours, Zara watched Jake continue his normal routine. He fixed the gravity generator. He helped Ben repair a leak in the water recycling system. He taught Amy a new recipe he had learned on their last stop. Each time, Jake solved problems in ways that surprised Zara. When the gravity generator needed a part they did not have, Jake made one out of scrap metal and rubber tubing. When the water leak was in a space too small for anyone to reach, Jake used a mirror and a bent wire to fix it from outside. "Your people are very adaptable," Zara observed. "I guess," Jake said. "My dad always said if you cannot find a way, make one." Zara was beginning to understand why some aliens found humans disturbing. They did not follow expected patterns. They improvised constantly. They treated serious situations with humor and dangerous people with kindness. To most aliens, this behavior looked random and chaotic. But Zara was starting to see it differently. Humans were not chaotic. They were flexible. They adapted to each situation instead of trying to force situations to match their plans. When Commander Kane's ship docked at the station, Zara made another decision. She would help Jake deal with this investigator. She would make sure the Galactic Council understood that humans were not a threat. They were something much more interesting. They were teachers. They were showing the galaxy new ways to think and solve problems. Jake, of course, had no idea about any of this. He was too busy trying to figure out why the coffee maker kept making weird noises. "Hey, Zara," he called from the galley. "You know anything about Earth coffee makers? This thing is acting like it has a mind of its own." Zara smiled. Jake was about to meet one of the most powerful investigators in the galaxy, and he was worried about coffee. It was perfectly human, and she was starting to think that was a very good thing. Commander Kane arrived on Kepler Station with 3 assistants and a very serious expression. He was a Xanthari, which meant he was tall, thin, and had silver skin that seemed to glow slightly. Xanthari were known for being logical and methodical. They did not like surprises. Jake was still working on the coffee maker when Kane's team boarded the Starbound. Captain Lisa met them at the airlock. "Commander Kane," she said politely. "Welcome aboard," Kane nodded stiffly. "Captain Wong, I am here to investigate reports of unusual human behavior involving a Vexani warrior. Where is the individual known as Jake Martinez?" "He is in the galley," Lisa said. "Would you like me to get him?" "That will not be necessary. I prefer to observe subjects in their natural environment first." Jake did not know he was being observed. He was lying on his back under the coffee maker, humming and occasionally saying things like, "Come on, you stubborn piece of junk," and "There we go, that is better." Kane watched through the galley doorway. His assistants took notes on tablets. Zara stood nearby, ready to explain Jake's behavior if needed. "Interesting," Kane murmured. "The subject appears to be communicating with the machine." "He talks to everything he fixes," Zara said. "He says it helps him think." "Highly irregular," one of Kane's assistants noted. Jake slid out from under the coffee maker and stood up. "There we go. Just needed a new filter and some fine-tuning." He pressed a button and the machine started making coffee with a happy, gurgling sound. "Success," Jake announced to no one in particular. Then he noticed Kane and his team standing in the doorway. "Oh, hi there," Jake said with his usual friendly smile. "Are you guys here for coffee?" This old machine finally decided to cooperate. Kane stepped forward. "I am Commander Kane of the Galactic Council." "You are Jake Martinez?" "That is me," Jake said, wiping his hands on a towel. "Nice to meet you, Commander. What brings you to our little corner of space?" Kane consulted his tablet. "I am investigating reports that you have somehow influenced a Vexani warrior through unknown means. This has caused concern among several member species." Jake looked confused. "Influenced? I do not think I influenced anyone. Zara and I are just friends." "Friends," Kane repeated like the word tasted strange. "Yeah, friends. You know, we hang out, play cards, talk about stuff. Normal friend things." Kane made notes on his tablet. "Subject claims normal social interaction with apex predator species." "Apex predator?" Jake looked at Zara. "Is he talking about you?" Zara nodded. "Vexani are considered one of the most dangerous warrior races in the galaxy." "Huh," Jake said. "You do not seem very dangerous to me. A little intense sometimes, but that is just your personality." Kane's assistants were writing furiously on their tablets. "Mr. Martinez," Kane said, Are you aware that in the past week reports have come in from 17 different star systems about unusual human behavior? Unusual how? Jake asked. Kane consulted his notes. A human cargo pilot talked 3 warring factions into sharing a trade route by convincing them to try each other's food. A human engineer solved a 50-year-old territorial dispute by suggesting the 2 species take turns using a contested planet. A human doctor ended a diplomatic crisis by teaching alien children Earth songs. Jake nodded. Sounds like people being helpful. What is unusual about that? These outcomes were not predicted by any computer models, Kane said. The situations should have resulted in continued conflict or violence. Instead, humans achieved peaceful solutions through methods our experts cannot understand. Maybe your experts are overthinking it, Jake suggested. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. Kane stared at him. What do you mean? Well, those cargo pilots probably just thought it was silly for people to fight over trade routes when everyone could make more money by working together. The engineer probably figured sharing is better than fighting, and the doctor was just being nice to kids. But these were complex political situations, one of Kane's assistants protested. Were they? Jake asked. Or were they just people who had forgotten how to talk to each other? Zara watched Kane and his team struggle with Jake's explanations. They were trying to find hidden strategies and secret techniques. But Jake was telling them the truth. Humans really did approach problems by assuming other people were reasonable and looking for simple solutions. There must be more to it, Kane insisted. What training do humans receive in diplomatic manipulation? Diplomatic what? Jake laughed. Commander, I fix machines for a living. The only training I have is a technical degree from a community college in Ohio. Kane looked frustrated. This was clearly not going the way he had expected. Perhaps, Zara suggested, you should observe Jake in a typical interaction with strangers. As if on cue, Captain Lisa's voice came over the intercom. Jake, we have some Plutarchian traders here who are upset about something. Could you take a look at their ship's environmental systems? Sure thing, Captain, Jake called back. He turned to Kane. Want to come along? You can see how I usually handle these things. The Plutarchian traders were waiting in the docking bay. They were short, round beings covered in green fur. They looked very unhappy. What seems to be the problem? Jake asked them. Our life support system is malfunctioning, one of them said in broken English. Ship is too cold. Crew is getting sick. No problem, Jake said. Let me take a look. Jake spent 20 minutes crawling around inside the Plutarchian ship with his toolkit. Kane and his assistants followed, taking notes. The Plutarchian traders watched nervously. Found it, Jake announced from inside an access panel. Your thermal regulator is calibrated for a different atmosphere. Easy fix. While Jake worked, he started chatting with the Plutarchians. He asked about their home planet, their trade routes, and their families. Soon the nervous traders were laughing at Jake's stories about fixing impossible machines. There you go, Jake said, climbing out of the access panel. Should be nice and warm now. The lead trader checked the environmental readings and smiled. Perfect. How much do we owe you? Nothing, Jake said. Just being neighborly. The trader looked confused. Nothing? But you fixed our ship. And you guys probably helped someone else out last week, Jake said. That is how it works, right? We all help each other. The Plutarchians exchanged looks. Then the leader pulled a small wrapped package from his bag. Please, he said, offering it to Jake. My wife's cookies, made from fruits of our homeworld. Aw, that is really nice, Jake said, accepting the package. Thank you. Kane watched the entire interaction with growing confusion. There had been no negotiation, no payment discussed, no formal agreements. Jake had simply fixed their problem and expected nothing in return. The traders had given him cookies out of gratitude. This makes no sense, Kane muttered to his assistants. Zara stepped up beside him. Commander, may I explain something about humans? Kane nodded. Humans do not see problems as political or complicated, Zara said. They see broken things that need to be fixed and people who need help. They assume that if they help others, others will help them when needed. It is not a strategy. It is just how they think. But that should not work, Kane protested. Game theory predicts that selfish behavior should dominate in multi-species interactions. Game theory assumes everyone is trying to win, Zara replied. Humans are not trying to win. They are trying to make sure everyone has what they need. Kane watched Jake share the Plutarchian cookies with his crew. He saw Captain Lisa offer the traders spare parts they might need for their journey. He observed the easy friendship that had formed between natural strangers. "This is highly irregular," Kane said finally. "Yes," Zara agreed, "and it works." Kane made more notes on his tablet. He was beginning to understand why so many species were concerned about humans. They were changing the rules of galactic interaction without even realizing it. The question was, what should the Galactic Council do about it? 3 days later, Jake found himself on a shuttle heading to the Galactic Council headquarters. He was still not sure why he needed to be there. "I really do not understand what the big deal is," he said to Zara, who sat beside him. "I just fix things and try to be nice to people." "That is exactly the point," Zara replied. "The Council needs to understand that humans are not a threat." Jake looked out the window at the massive space station that housed the Council. It was huge, with ships from hundreds of different species docked around it. "This place is incredible," he said. "Look at all those different ships. I bet each one has completely different technology. That would be so cool to see." Commander Kane, who was sitting across from them, made another note on his tablet. Even on the way to testify before the most powerful organization in the galaxy, Jake was thinking about learning new things rather than worrying about himself. The council chambers were enormous. Representatives from dozens of species sat in curved rows around a central speaking area. Jake had never seen so many different kinds of aliens in one place. "The council recognizes Commander Kane," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Kane stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. "Honored representatives, I have completed my investigation into human behavior patterns. My findings are unusual." Jake listened as Kane described all the reports he had gathered. Human traders who shared profits with competitors. Human engineers who gave away valuable technology for free. Human diplomats who solved conflicts by organizing sports tournaments and cooking competitions. In every case, Kane continued, humans achieved better outcomes than our computer models predicted. They did this not through superior strategy or advanced technology, but through what they call being nice. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several representatives looked confused or concerned. "What is your recommendation, Commander?" asked a tall, crystalline being who seemed to be in charge. "I recommend that we observe human behavior more closely," Kane said. "They may be developing new forms of psychological manipulation that we do not yet understand." Jake felt Zara tense beside him. This was not going well. "The Council recognizes Jake Martinez of Earth," the crystalline being announced. Jake stood up slowly. His legs felt shaky. All those alien eyes were staring at him. Hi everyone," he said, his voice echoing in the huge chamber. "I am not really sure why I am here." "You are here because your species is causing disruption throughout the galaxy," said a reptilian representative. "We need to understand your methods." "My methods?" Jake scratched his head. "I do not really have methods. I just try to help people when they need it." "But why?" asked another representative. "What do you gain from helping strangers?" Jake thought about this for a moment. "Well, I guess I gain friends. And friends help each other out. So when I need help someday, I will have people who care about me." "That is a very long-term strategy," observed a floating jellyfish-like being. "It is not really a strategy," Jake said. "It is just how you treat people. My grandmother always said that if you put good things into the world, good things come back to you." "But what if others take advantage of your kindness?" asked the reptilian representative. "Some people do," Jake admitted. "But most people are pretty decent if you give them a chance. And the few who are not, well, that is their problem, not mine." The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then a small furry representative spoke up. "Human Jake, my species has traded with your people. Your traders often accept lower profits to ensure fair deals. This makes no economic sense." "Sure it does," Jake said. "If everyone makes a fair profit, everyone stays in business. If I cheat someone today to make extra money, they will not want to trade with me tomorrow. Better to make a little bit forever than a lot just once." "What about military strategy?" asked a heavily armored representative. "Your species has been observed sharing defensive technologies with former enemies." Jake shrugged. "If everyone has good defenses, there is less chance of wars. Wars are expensive and people get hurt. Much better if everyone just talks things out." Zara watched the council representatives struggle with Jake's explanations. They kept expecting complex political reasoning, but Jake gave them simple human logic. "Human Jake," said the crystalline leader, "your species approaches interstellar relations in ways our computers cannot predict. This makes many species nervous." "I can understand that," Jake said. "People do not like surprises. But just because something is different does not mean it is dangerous." "How can we be certain?" asked another representative. Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he smiled. "Well, you could try it," he said. "Next time you have a problem with another species, instead of following your normal procedures, try just talking to them like they are people you want to be friends with. See what happens." "That is highly irregular," protested several representatives at once. "So was everything that got you guys to where you are now," Jake pointed out. "Someone had to be the first to try space travel. Someone had to be the first to make contact with other species. Someone had to be the first to form this council." The chamber fell silent again. Jake looked around at all the different species represented there. "You know what I think?" he said. "I think you all actually want the same things. You want your people to be safe and happy. You want to explore and learn new things. You want to leave a better galaxy for your kids." "How do you know this?" asked the jellyfish-like being. "Because that is what most people want," Jake said simply. "It does not matter if you have scales or fur or crystalline skin." "People are people," Zara stood up. "If I may address the council?" The crystalline leader nodded. "I have observed this human for several days," Zara said. "What he demonstrates is not manipulation or strategy. It is something my people have forgotten. It is hope." "Hope?" asked the reptilian representative. "Hope that others will choose to do good. Hope that problems can be solved peacefully. Hope that strangers can become friends." Zara looked at Jake. "Humans have this hope even when logic suggests they should not. And it works," added Captain Lisa, who had been quietly watching from the audience. "Our trade routes are more profitable because our partners trust us. Our colonies are safer because our neighbors help defend them. Our crews are more effective because they actually want to work together." The council deliberated for what seemed like hours. Jake sat nervously, still not really understanding what was happening. Finally, the crystalline leader spoke. "The council has reached a decision. Humanity will be granted full membership in the galactic community. With one condition." Jake held his breath. "You will provide cultural advisors to help resolve conflicts between member species. Your unique perspective may prove valuable." Jake let out a sigh of relief. "So we are not in trouble?" "No, human Jake, you are not in trouble. You are an opportunity." As they left the council chambers, Zara walked beside Jake. "So," Jake said, "I guess you do not need to be my bodyguard anymore." "Actually," Zara said, "I have requested transfer to the Starbound as a cultural exchange officer." "Really? That is great!" Jake grinned. "Lisa will be happy to have another crew member. And I still have not taught you how to play chess." Zara smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her really smile, and it changed her whole face. "I would like that," she said. 6 months later, the Starbound was traveling between star systems with a crew that included humans, a Vexani warrior, 2 Plutarchian engineers, and a young Xanthari who wanted to learn human repair techniques. Jake was in the engine room, teaching everyone how to fix the gravity generator, when Captain Lisa called him to the bridge. "Jake," she said, "we just got a message from the council. There is a trade dispute in the Rigel system. 3 species cannot agree on shipping routes. They want us to help mediate." "Us?" Jake asked. "We are just a cargo ship." "Not anymore," Lisa said with a smile. "Apparently we are now the galaxy's official problem solvers." Jake looked around the bridge at his mixed crew of friends. "Well," he said, "I guess we better go see what we can do to help." As the Starbound changed course toward Rigel, Jake went back to the engine room. He had a feeling they were going to need everything working perfectly for whatever came next. But that was okay. Jake Martinez was good at fixing things, and now apparently that included fixing problems between entire civilizations. He just hoped they had enough coffee for the job. The end.